It made me hit the
Sorry, I
go
was just.
live button. No, I'm glad you said something. Because it was like, oh, you have to hit go live to go live, even though it never makes me do that any other time. Welcome everyone to Haven of Horror. We're here to talk about, thankfully, the last episode of season 2. Uh, I don't mean that to sound as negative as it sounds, but we'll get into it. Robert, I'm not gonna make us repeat a lot of what we said, so let's just jump into it. Tell us about Convergence.
Convergence is the finale. It's also the big cliffhanger midpoint of the story. We, as the title suggests, a lot of storylines we've set up are converging. Some of which are happening in the background, to be expanded on more next season. And yeah, it's one of those things where, of course, if you don't know the game, it can be kind of an abrupt ending. Like that point in the game is kind of abrupt, but the story's not over. There's plenty more to tell. But a lot of big stuff goes down in this episode for sure.
So we pick up where episode 5 left off with, well, where
Or,
episode 5 and 6 both kind of leave
yeah,
off,
yeah.
because 6 ends with Ellie coming back, Jesse tending to her wound because everybody in this show is stupid. Uh, so they have to pull the arrow out, and she's like, I can't die, I can't die. Then maybe you should have thought about that before you went to a war zone, you idiot. But anyway, and that is going to be the big clue. Oh, she's pregnant. Because that's the other thing with this show is that everybody is able to jump from a line of dialogue or an action to a conclusion, and they always are right. They these are either the smartest people on the planet, despite being stupid, or the script is stupid. I haven't decided which. Um, and we have the
Well, with
tense
that,
scene. Go
well,
ahead.
with that thing specifically, it's her reacting the way she does, and her refusing to drink alcohol. That's what tips
I forgot about
Jesse
the
off.
alcohol.
And later he guesses, like he says it like he
Okay,
knows, but
but
he's
that
still
is
not
a
sure.
pretty
And then
lucky guess.
I mean they did sleep together, sometime earlier. Something he's probably wondered about since she's been gone. So yeah, I don't know. He just puts the pieces together.
I guess. I mean, it's the least egregious thing in this episode, but we'll get there. Um, so he has to
Hi, Adam
force.
March in the live chat.
Hey, Adam
How's it
March.
going?
I'm I'm just gonna tell it like I saw it with this episode. I mean, I behave if that's what you mean, but I'm gonna tell it like I saw it, how I experienced this episode. Um, so they have to pull the arrow out, and then that's gonna be their excuse for why they have to go back. Although I'm still having a hard time believing that Ellie actually wants to be here, because this is the second time that she's been like, well, maybe we shouldn't do this. Um,
It's pretty similar to the game where now Dina's under the weather, under different circumstances, but still now, you know, their things have
the
shifted.
problem is they're reaping what they've sown, because this Ellie has shown very little interest in getting revenge except for the last 5 minutes of episode 5. And now she's ready to go home because her girlfriend got hurt because she dragged her into a war zone.
Well, she didn't drag her. Dina went there on her own accord. And Dina went with her in the game to Seattle. Just
Yeah,
as dangerous in both versions.
and then she remind me stayed at the hotel when she found out she was pregnant because she's not an idiot.
Well, and she's getting very sick. That's a big factor.
Okay, so why isn't that in the show?
It's different. And then she gets injured and has to stay behind.
Yeah, that's called bad character writing. When you when
Oh,
you
I
when
don't
you
think so.
when you change something so that a character can make a stupid decision that is dumber than the source material, that is a bad character decision. Her being
And
there doesn't add or improve anything. It just makes it dumber.
agree to disagree.
what is okay? I just have to ask this because I'm curious. What does the show have to do to make you angry?
I mean, it hasn't made me angry. That's me being
No, I
honest.
I
I don't
know.
think it's
That's why I'm
perfect. I've had
asking.
issues.
What does the show have to do to get you to the point where you're like, "Oh, this isn't The Last of Us anymore."
I don't know. I guess if they veered off in a very different direction, um, I don't know, killed a major character or something like Ellie, you know. Um,
They might as well for
but
all
it's
she's done
stuck
this
very close.
season.
And she's done a lot of the stuff she does in the game.
She's done two things from the game, and we'll get there. The aquarium, I was laughing. That was embarrassing. Um, but anyway, so they have to go rescue Tommy. And I don't remember why he disappeared. Uh,
He in this version, he and Jesse separated, but yeah,
yeah. Did they establish like they separated and he's just looking for Ellie, or
yeah, they're both looking for Ellie, and now that Jesse's found them, they have to find Tommy. But I mean, if you know the game, there's a lot of stuff going on with Tommy in the background that we'll probably see next season.
there
That's set
might
up here.
be? I don't know that.
Now, there's a lot of the game in this episode for sure, and a lot
Until
of
except for when
clues
there's
and things
not.
set up for next. There's a lot of it.
So we'll get to the first one, which I have text from the game that proves that this is completely out of character for Ellie. So we get to the conversation where Ellie tells Dina um, what Joel did
Mhm.
in the game, and this is in her journal. She says, "Should I tell Dina and Jesse about this? No, they can't know what Joel did." Fuck that, I guess. We're just gonna, because everybody in the show just has to blurt out what they're feeling. We have to tell Dina what she did, and it creates this weird tension that doesn't go anywhere. What are we doing?
The context of this version, I thought it made sense that she told her. Also, since she has a little more information about what happened at this point than she had in the game.
So, oh, okay. So now we have characters acting the complete opposite of the characters they're supposed to be.
I mean, she hasn't told Dina like this whole time until the very end of this season. And again, that's a conversation I assume they have off screen at some point during the time jump in the game. We just never really explore that. Because when we time skip to them in the farmhouse, like by that point, I'm pretty sure Dina knows like the full
I
context.
never got that read.
Okay.
Why would Ellie tell her? Ellie never talks about it in the game.
I don't know. I just that's my opinion. That's my take. I always figure that during that time skip is probably when she
No,
told
and
Dina
okay,
more about what
let me
happened.
let me let me rephrase. Sorry. I never got that read. If that is a read that you have in the game, that's whatever. That's I've never thought that, especially because she specifically writes in her journal that they cannot be told.
Hmm. But that's also before the shit hits the fan at the theater.
And I don't know, I'm kind
And
of the opinion with that. If you don't see it, then it didn't happen. Just
that's
my
fair.
my opinion. But anyway, so they have that conversation, and it's during the scene from the game where like Ellie is hurt, and like
Hmm.
Dina's tending to her. And I think this is my frustration, is because that is, from what I remember, mostly dialogueless. You get
Hmm.
everything you need just from her expression. But this Ellie cannot shut up. Whatever she's thinking, she just blurts out, and it really feels like either they are overcorrecting because of the response to that game, or the writers think the audience is stupid.
I don't think it's that. It's just a different take, but
But I mean,
and
by that
again, and
logic, anything they do is okay. They could have Ellie
not
die in the
necessarily.
next season, and oh, it's just a different take.
if I didn't like the way it was executed, then yeah, I wouldn't like it. I do think that is something the show can fall into. I do think some of the dialogue can be a bit overwritten. I don't disagree there. I still thought this was a very well acted scene from Bella.
I mean, she's fine, but it all feels hollow when you're constantly having this character spill her guts about whatever she's feeling. And we've had one scene where she did something kind of bad, but the problem is what she did wasn't necessarily morally reprehensible. That person was going to die anyway. It's
Well,
not like she killed a bunch of people on the way there. It's not like she's done anything to
yeah,
try to get revenge
she's
except
killed
follow this girl to the hospital.
she's killed a couple, but I do think this season what I'm missing is I do think we could have had a couple more fights, a couple more run-ins with the wolves. Absolutely.
Oh, and
Again,
then
in the middle. But what the reprehensible thing she does that she admits is she didn't just torture Nora; she left her there to die, which is worse. And obviously, she probably would have been dead within the hour from the spores and shit. But yeah, instead of
but that's the thing. She says she
putting her
left
out
her
of her
there to
misery
die.
in pain and misery, that's pretty messed up. It really shakes her
Then I needed to see that Nora was alive when she left because I've always got the impression she killed her with the pipe.
after Nora told her where Dina was.
Yeah. I always got the impression
Yeah,
she killed
maybe.
her.
Yeah, I can see it either way.
Yeah, I mean it's not a huge the problem is that each individual instance isn't that it's a huge deal. It's we keep doing it and we keep building on this stuff that doesn't work. And like I had my issues with season 1, but that wasn't really in the writing department. You know, the characters were consistent with the game version for the most part. Like yeah, you soften Joel up a little bit. That's whatever. You're working with less time. Here it's just we're taking characters and doing 180s on their characterization so that they're complete opposite from the game.
Yeah, I
Um,
wouldn't call them complete opposites. Again, they're slightly different, but I wouldn't say complete opposite.
okay, so I'm gonna use this as a segue because you mentioned the scars earlier. We
Mm.
get an interaction with Jesse and Ellie after they leave the theater to go get Tommy. Jesse is awful in this show, by the way. This episode made me hate him, and I did not feel bad for when he died. They have that interaction where Ellie is like, "No, we have to save this Scar kid, even though the Scars are the ones who injured Dina." In the game, Ellie specifically says they don't matter. All that matters is getting to Abby. The show's version of Ellie is so worried about everything else. Abby has come up like twice. She's worried about Dina. She's worried about these Scar kids. She's worried about Tommy. What are we doing? Why? Where's Ellie?
I think Abby comes up more than twice, and in that moment though, I bought that she has empathy for this kid that
But
she's
that's
seeing being tortured.
that's the problem. That's not Ellie in this game in this story. Ellie should be so far gone at this point. The only thing she can see is the end of the tunnel and getting to Abby.
There's still things that Ellie does in the game though that she regrets and feels bad about and conflicted about. Like that does happen in the game.
But always after the fact. She never hesitates to do what she needs to do in the moment. This Ellie doesn't know what she wants.
Well,
She changed.
she does know it. So by the back that's what by the back half of this episode though it is that like I said we were building to was that she just keeps pursuing it even though all these roadblocks come up and all these red flags come up she still keeps going for it once she knows where Abby is she doesn't stop.
But the problem is that by the time you get there, this Ellie has a either just does whatever Dina tells her to do, or B uh, is worried about everything else. That I don't buy that all of a sudden now she's obsessed with Ellie. It felt like or with Abby. Blech. Words are hard. it's like the writer suddenly remembered, oh, she's supposed to be here for revenge. We got our token scene in 5 with the hospital, and now that we're at the or at the, what is it, the boatyard, or
Hmm.
I don't, the marina, that's the word I'm looking for. The writers
The
remembered, oh
aquarium.
right, well no, because she's not at the aquarium yet. It's the moment where her and Jesse split up. That's not quite at the aquarium because she wants to go to the aquarium.
Yeah.
It's like at a marina, or whatever. Then the writers remembered, oh wait, she's supposed to be obsessed with finding Abby. Where's that attitude been this whole episode?
No, this whole episode, I assume that was in the back of her mind. They're going to. Well, okay, it's two things. It's they're going to find Tommy. She's still thinking about Abby, and once she spots the aquarium, that's when she's able to piece together the information that Nora has, and now she has a lead. Now she has a lock, and then that's what she's focused on for the rest of the episode. Because in this version, she gets words from Nora, but isn't entirely sure what they mean, and then when she spots the aquarium, she pieces it together. What Nora was talking about. So I thought that was fine. And Jesse, I didn't hate Jesse in this episode. I like their arguments. He's very obsessed with his community and his people. We learn something that was hinted at earlier, that he voted not to
Which is the opposite
pursue
of
this
what
mission.
Jesse would do in the game.
Not necessarily. In the
No,
game, he
no.
goes after.
Jesse has dialogue in the game. If I had known you were coming out here to avenge Joel, I would have come with you.
That's fair.
In the show, he's like, well, it didn't benefit the community, so fuck Joel, I guess.
But
Uh,
again, in this version, though, we had that big attack on the town that we didn't have in the game. So there are other things at stake at Jackson in this version that aren't there in the game. So I think that tracks. And their argument they have, honesty is like a big theme in this episode, where they have that argument where Ellie says, "You know what? Fuck the community. I don't care. Joel was my community, and now Dina's my community," which again lines up with Game Ellie. And I thought that was an earned moment where it's we saw in that earlier episode this season when she has to make that speech and appeal to the council. She does everything in her power to make it seem as honest and for the community as possible, even though we know that is all bullshit. She just wants revenge because she cares about Joel, and here she's finally just letting it all out because that's all
that is where she
she
feels
cares
the
about.
most like Game Ellie, but at best it is inconsistent because sometimes she feels like Game Ellie, sometimes they're trying. I think we were both in agreement that the hospital chase scene wasn't done great. The actual chase was fine, but the like in the tunnel, Bella Ramsey doesn't have any intimidating presence, at least to me. Um, like she's kind of there, but that was the most Game Ellie. But then you get moments like the "I'm gonna be a dad," not what she said, but that moment entirely is just the complete antithesis of what Game Ellie is in that moment. That they need to pick a lane. Either you're going to make this a completely different Ellie, then at that point I can just check out because I don't care, or adapt the fucking character and make her act in character all the time.
It's close enough for me. People are complicated. I like their spin on that romance in the show, how they took their time with it. Again, for me, that totally tracked. Yeah, I just haven't seen it the way you do.
Okay, so I do want to ask if you had this. If Jesse said I can't die here one more time, I was gonna throw something. It's like, yes, I know he's going to die here. You can stop foreshadowing it. It
Yeah,
was
I was indifferent to
absurd.
that. Yeah, I was indifferent. I liked the conversations talking about gonna be a dad, and now he has different priorities, and the degree, not hypocrisy isn't the right word, but it's like he cares very deeply about his community, but now he has this whole other thing that's taking priority. Being a parent, because parenthood is a very major theme in The Last of Us, both versions. So yeah, that's fair. And again, I agree that a nitpick I have for this entire show is some of the dialogue I think can be a bit overwritten. I don't disagree there.
Um,
And one thing that I loved about this episode, top to bottom, is the production design so good. There are so many locations lifted from the game in this episode, recreated in live action. So there's so much attention to detail. I love the art direction. Like the little
I'm glad you
library or
said
whatever
that
we get looked really cool.
because I don't know if you noticed this. You might have because they kind of call attention to it. But in one of the shots, you can see the fucking sky bridge.
I did see that, and I was like, "Oh, are we doing that next season? Or it's just Easter egg? I don't know." But that was exciting. I
Knowing this show, Abby won't even be afraid of heights in the next season. Because why keep
I don't know.
character stuff from the games? We can just do whatever we want.
I mean, they keep most of the character stuff from the game, so
Except for
we'll
all,
see.
all the things where I pointed out that they're the complete opposite of the character from the game.
I agree that there are differences, but yeah, slightly different take.
At this point, I'm just playing a game to see how many things I could point out that they got wrong that you could just excuse because it's really funny.
Well, to you, they got wrong. I just understand that it's an adaptation. This is a different spin on the material, but they're
Okay,
sticking very close to the
there's
core themes and plot points.
there is a difference between I could live if it was just a different story beat. Like, yeah, I don't like The Last of Us season 3 or episode 1 season or episode
Season one,
season
episode
1
three.
episode 3, but I can overlook that for the most part while I'm watching that season because the rest of it, the characters are mostly in character. I can forgive skipping plot beats. That's whatever. It's a 12, in this case, a 30-hour game. But when you fundamentally change the characterization, then that is a problem. Adaptation should not change the characters because then why the hell am I watching if it's not the characters that I care about?
I still think they're the same characters. Like they're slightly different, but they're close enough. Like
If they're
Jesse, I
different, then
said,
they're not
is
the same. You cannot be both.
but again, it's an adaptation. I understand that it's their spin on it, but yes, they are the same characters. They have the same names. Make a lot of the same decisions. Blah blah blah. Jesse is very close to Game Jesse, but in the show we spend a lot more time in Jackson, building up that he's going to be a big part of this community. They're wanting him to be uh, one of their leaders in the future, so he has that extra pressure on him. And again, we have that whole battle happen that didn't happen in the game, whereas this other thing taking precedent that he has to prioritize as a member of this community. So circumstances being different, I think, are shifting characters in different directions. But the
Then
core
don't
of what
change the
these characters are, I don't think
circumstances.
is.
Then just don't do that.
I'm fine with it because the battle we got in Jackson, I thought was really well executed and very intense. Um, it
Yeah, but I mean,
worked for me.
if it means that these characters are no longer the characters that I'm here to see, then why would I want that?
I'm just more open minded to different spins, different avenues. Enough of the themes and plot beats are intact that it's still a very faithful adaptation. Again, it's not one to one exactly beat for beat the same thing, but it's close enough for me
At
for
this
the
point,
most
I'm
part.
not even asking for the storyline to be the same. I'm like I said, I'm fine if you have to cut things, rearrange things. I don't think it's too much to ask in 2025 that you keep the characterization the same, the characters. The minute you have Jesse say Joel's death didn't matter because it was the community is weakened, which, by the
Well,
way, Jackson is also in danger in the game, unless you expect me to believe that they have perfect defenses. But in the game, Jesse still would have went with Ellie because he cares about Joel. So apparently in this version, Jesse just doesn't give a fuck about Joel or his death because he votes no and then calls Ellie selfish for wanting to avenge the person that was basically her father. Those are two very different characterizations. They do not compute in the same character.
but in both versions, he still gets that point of wanting to turn back, and wanting to go after Tommy, and you know, wanting to take Dina back because that's taken priority. And when he calls her selfish, I get it. And no, I don't read it as like he doesn't like Joel or doesn't care. He just has these other priorities. He's putting the needs of the community over the needs of the one.
which is
And
not
I thought it
what
made sense.
Game Joe or Game Joe. See, now I can't even get names right. Which, from the dialogue that we get in the game, was not what Game Jesse would have done.
Yeah, but that's one exchange, and again, some of the circumstances are different, and we still get to the same point of, hey, we gotta get Dina back, we gotta find Tommy. That's taking priority. Like Jesse does not, in both versions, does not continue this pursuit of Abby. He lets it go, and in an exchange that's very similar, where they're up high, they hear about the sniper, they're like, oh, that's got to be Tommy, but Ellie's like, well, maybe it's not, and
Yeah, and she's
that
right.
break. What do you mean?
It might not have been Tommy. That's
But it is Tommy.
right. But what if it wasn't? Characters in
I
this
don't
show
see your
just
point. This applies to both versions. Like that's a
right.
very
And
similar
I'm saying
game.
right. I'm not criticizing this for being different because I could criticize this in the game too. Jesse is determined that that is Tommy in both versions. But what if it wasn't? And it's a bigger problem for me here because it's the third time that this show has done this in the last 2 episodes where a character assumes something or guesses at something and it just so happens to be what the actual thing is.
Yep, that happens a lot in the game. It doesn't bother me in either version.
It, characters do not guess that much in the game and are right that
I mean,
often.
if you're really paying it, again, I love the game, but Alien Dina get very lucky with some of the stuff they find and the information they
Like
get.
what?
Like when they find the bodies, like oh they were tortured. Like the perfect example, a scene that's not in the show. When they find the two dead wolves, and Ellie's like, "Oh, this was Tommy. Yeah, this is a trick Joel did on how to torture them and interrogate them." She could have been wrong, but she was right.
But that's not a guess. That is her assessing the evidence in front of her and recognizing something she's seen before. That is different than
Mhm.
saying, oh, this sniper in the middle of a huge city, by the way, is this very specific person we're looking for, and then it just so
But
happens to be that person.
well, and they know that Tommy has a sniper rifle and is in that area.
They are in the middle of a war with an armed militia.
But they also, but they also know that the the scars don't use sniper rifles.
Right. Well, okay, hold on. Don't they use rifles in the game?
They just use crossbows and bows and arrows. The I don't think they use straight up guns.
Okay. But even then, if you eliminate 50% of the war, what if it's a member of the WLF?
Like turning on their own. I mean, maybe, but
I mean, is it any more logically to even if you decide it's not to have one of them go, what if it's the WLF or what if it's a trap?
I mean, yeah, I don't. In both versions, I don't know why they think it's a
And,
trap, but yeah, like Ellie has a good point that maybe it's not Tommy, but it's really in both versions just her excuse to leave there and say, "No, I'm going there for
and it is,
Abby."
and that is one of
Um,
the better scenes because shockingly, it's almost one to one for what happens in the game. I know it's very shocking when in an adaptation you just directly pull from the thing you're adapting, but I'll let everybody take
well,
a moment
there's a
to.
lot of scenes in this season that are in the game that I've really liked, that I thought were well acted and well written. Hey Tyler in the live chat, you just said love the Passion Boys. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Robert and I love doing
Hayden Spring
this.
said Anthony. I know that
It's,
reference. Hayden Spring.
um, but
And
this season has started to rely on that lot of a character is going to swing for the fences with a guess and just so happens to be correct.
that happens in the game too. We're not at this point in the show yet, but when Tommy comes to Ellie and Dina at the farmhouse and is like, "Hey, one of my scouts came across these two people. Sounds like Abby, way off in this other state. Um, it's a lead. Let's go." And then they
But
do,
if
and Ellie not only survives getting all there, and then of course finds Abby in the nick of time. I'm not saying this actually bothers me. I'm just saying that it is convenience for the story.
But here's the difference. It is a little convenient. I will give you that. But here's the difference. The lead that he has comes with a complete description of the person they're looking for, who is also with a little boy who they know because they know that she's traveling with Lev. So yes, it is a bit of a coincidence that it so happens to be Ellie. God
Abby.
damn, Abby. But they also have enough evidence to go, oh, this is worth looking out for. In the show, characters with no evidence of anything whatsoever will just go, well, it could be this, so I gotta go check it out, or it could be this, therefore I am correct, and then the
I
show will
I
back them
think they
up.
have enough. I think they have enough evidence to go on. Yeah, they have to turn out to be right, but I think they have enough evidence to go on.
Gunshots are sniper shots are proof that it's Tommy in the middle of Seattle.
Yeah, it's a strong possibility. They know he has a sniper rifle, and they know he's in that area. Again, this is in both versions. I don't know why we're stuck on this.
I don't either. So
Okay,
they
so
split up.
one scene we didn't talk about was the extra scene we get with Isaac, which I liked a lot. Just giving it a bit more context,
I mean, I'm always
setting up
happy to see that guy, and that's something you
Drift
can't
Right.
really
He's
mess
great.
up because it's all added material. And let's be honest, Isaac is barely a character in the game. He just exists to be
Yeah,
the
he's
antagonist.
in two scenes. But we get a lot of setup for what we're gonna see next season with Abby's story, setting up like this final battle on that island. And I like this conversation that Isaac has where he's like, "Look, I know I'm probably not gonna survive this fight. Abby is missing, and that sucks because I thought she could lead the ones who are left." I like the little bits of information we've gotten about that dynamic, which you do get in the game, but again, it's like one scene, and again, you know, there's gonna be a lot of dramatic irony when he dies and how he dies. But I like that conversation about like, okay, I have soldiers, but Abby Icy can be a leader. That's what I'm counting on, and now she's been. And of course, he has no idea the adventure she's been going on the last few days, and that they may no longer be as aligned philosophically as he thinks. But yeah, I thought that was a good scene.
Yeah. Um. And I'm gonna circle back to this because with that I really think there's a thing later in this episode that's a mistake. But we'll get there because I don't want to jump to the end of the episode. But yes, no, good scene. And I'm glad that is a scene where characters not shutting the fuck up helps. Because as I was watching, I was like, why are you like so obsessed with Abby? And then that woman asks him, what is the
Like, are
big
you in
deal about
love with her?
Abby? Yeah, and I was like, oh, okay. So they're gonna explain this. Um, because yeah, I was like, this is what we're doing with him. Weird, but that worked. I mean, I
I mean,
it's a
Isaac
good
does talk a
scene.
lot.
Yeah,
In the two scenes he's in the game, he does talk a lot.
yeah, it's a good scene, and I don't think we really get a big, like a great, kind of picture of their relationship in the game. Just because of the way that this game
Yeah,
story is told, you're always in a
yeah,
person's head.
there's a lot you just have to infer from the couple of interactions they have, and you know, and of course, a lot of like those notes on bodies and stuff you find give you a little more background on
That's what this
Isaac,
show is
but
missing.
just
I need
plot
Ellie
stuff.
to spend an entire episode looting bodies for notes and reading them. No. Okay. So Ellie,
So Ellie goes off her own.
and then okay. Can you explain to me what the fuck was the point of the scene where she crash lands on the Scars Island?
That was a scene cut from the game. That was almost in there. I'm not sure why it was cut, but I thought it was interesting to put it back in. It's in the context of this version, earlier, like she sees that young Scar and feels empathy for them and thinks what the wolves are doing. A lot what we see throughout this whole season of this episode is both sides doing just horrible things. The cycle of violence is a very major theme of that game. It's very present in the show, and neither side is positioned like, oh, these are the good guys. They have both done horrible things. And when she winds up on the island with the scars, and that little boy Scar is there, who's meant to remind you of the young Scar she saw earlier, who she had empathy for.
For
This
some
one
reason.
fucking rats her at yeah, because they're both young. And this one, this fucking child rats her out, almost gets her killed, and which similar things happen in the game, just not under this exact circumstance. But then, of course, they're distracted. The battle's going on, so again, really setting up that battle on that island. She gets away, and I think I was kind of indifferent. Like, I don't need it, I don't hate it. Part of the point it's demonstrating in this episode is this is a yet another near death experience she has. She comes this close to death, and she makes it
And
out, and she doesn't go back. She keeps going for Abby because now she's fully obsessed and can't let it go. A lot of this episode is dedicated to that. So I like I said, I didn't love the scene or anything, but I got the point of it. That she runs into this other horrible near-death experience, and once again, she could turn back for the theater, and she doesn't. She keeps going to Abby. She keeps going to
so
that
why couldn't
aquarium.
you just
So
do the
I got
scene
it.
with the bloater?
I thought this was fine. Again,
I mean,
something
it
that was
wasn't
almost in the
bad. It was
game.
just pointless. And I think it's weird that she's. I mean, I don't have a good grasp of the geography of this place in either the game or the show, but it's weird that she somehow ends up on that island, and then it just happens to be close to the aquarium.
I think they're pretty close by. I'd have to go back to the game and look at
Yeah,
that geography.
I just
I think it is pretty close by.
that would have been a great place to have another infected bit because we haven't had one in a couple episodes. Instead, they have that, which I was weird. But I one thing I will give it is there is some nice setup for Abby stuff because I'm assuming whatever called them off was Abby on the island.
Maybe we did see some explosions going off, so I
But
think
remember, the
that's
village is burning during Abby's section.
yeah. Now did she start the fire or is it other wall? I just don't. I'm
She didn't
blanking on
start
those.
the fire, but
Okay.
no, because she gets
I'm just
there
blanking on that part.
and then she's sneaking in, and I think the WLF show up, and that's when all hell
Okay.
breaks loose, and you're kind of in the middle of a war zone.
Yeah.
Um, shall we talk about the aquarium?
Yeah. The set's amazing.
What the
Good.
fuck was
So
that?
close to the end.
Okay, the set was cool, sure. Um, softening up what Ellie does there was bullshit, and uh, Mel's death was hilarious. I couldn't stop laughing. What was
Okay.
that?
That's. I mean, that's fine. That's your honest reaction. I liked it a lot. I thought it was a great addition. I thought it was very well acted, very dark. I didn't think it was softened at all. In both versions, she has to Ellie quickly shoots them.
She didn't shoot Mel, and she didn't mean to, because we can't have our protagonist willingly kill someone who's pregnant, apparently.
Well, she doesn't know yet that she's pregnant. It's not until after she's shot that she knows she's pregnant.
Right. But my point still stands. She never aimed the gun at her or shot her. Somehow the bullet luckily passed all the way through what's his name? Owen, and grazed the side of her neck.
Yeah, because he's standing right in front of her, and that's very close range, and that's a very powerful gun. So it makes sense. That encounter plays out very close to how it does in the game. I thought it was very
Except
well
it
acted,
doesn't.
very tense. Uh, in both versions, Owen doesn't turn on Abby because he loves her. Attempts to subdue Ellie, and then Ellie shoots back, and it's a big theme, and again, this is true to both versions. It's that unintended consequence of violence. She shoots Owen in this version, accidentally shoots Mel, and I thought the scene was very well acted.
But there's
Again,
the problem right there. Mel's death in the game is not an accident.
mhm.
Making it an
But
accident
it's a very quick
fundamentally
in the moment.
changes that scene.
I don't think it does. They're both
Mel
gut
purposely goes
punches.
after her with a knife, and Ellie
Mhm.
responds because that is what her instinct is.
Yeah.
In this, I'm not convinced Ellie would have killed her.
Mhm.
She's just collateral damage, which changes the entire meaning of that scene and the context, and makes Ellie look like the innocent victim in all of it because all she was doing was defending herself against one person and accidentally killed two.
Mhm. Yeah, and I think we could have had a couple more in previous episodes, a couple more run-ins with wolves. I think we should have seen Ellie kill a couple more during this journey, but here I still liked the way this played out. Thought it was very well acted. I thought Bella Ramsey was fantastic here, and again, both versions, the games and the show, parenthood is a major theme of The Last of Us. It's also kind of a callback to the season 1 finale with Ellie's mom, seeing what she went through, giving birth to Ellie, and here I liked the scene of Mel is shot, and then very quickly those motherly instincts kick in, and suddenly it's all she cares about is her child, and is trying to tell Ellie, you got to cut it out of me. You got to save my baby," which is a long shot, but it's possible. And Ellie just freezes. She can't do it, and then Mel just fades. And I thought it was a very well acted scene. And again, it's just leaning into those themes of parenthood and the love a parent has for their child and the tragedy of this whole story. And seeing, like I said, I already get the vibe that I think I like TV Mel more than game Mel, but seeing just how quickly she's
I just
ready
don't know her
to.
enough. Because we haven't gotten Abby stuff, so I'm not ready to
Mhm.
say that.
But
That won't
seeing
be hard, mind you, because Mel sucks in the game. Uh, but
but
we'll
seeing how
see.
quickly she wants to save her child and is putting that above herself, I thought it worked. I thought it was a very emotional scene.
My counter
And Ellie
argument
just
is that
freezes. She
scene
can't
only exists
do it.
there so that they can again point out to the audience, oh, she was pregnant when she died.
But both that happens in the game too.
She does not
Ellie.
ask her to save the baby in the game.
No, okay. So in the game, Ellie kills Owen and Mel in self-defense, and then the jacket opens, and or oh sorry, Owen says like something like
She
"check the baby" or "she's pregnant."
he
So
starts to say
Ellie,
she's pregnant, but he never gets the word pregnant out. He just says she's, and then dies to his wounds. And then Ellie puts it together because this Ellie cannot actually figure anything out. Everybody has to tell her what's going on. With the exception of somehow she manages to piece together Nora's clues about the aquarium. Everything else has been somebody telling her what to do or where to go. Um, in the game, she unzips the coat and then realizes what she's done
yeah,
and is horrified.
yeah,
If I was this Ellie, I I mean I'd be horrified. I'd be sad mistake. But she didn't purposefully kill her. I think that changes the whole context of that scene.
yeah. But it's the but it's about collateral damage, and it's absolutely horrifying. And she did kill her. It's that consequence of violence. Yeah, I thought it worked.
Next season, I'm gonna bring alcohol and I'm gonna take a shot every time you say something worked.
Yeah, I thought it did. Again, thought it was very well acted. I thought Bella, especially, was
I mean,
fantastic in this scene.
for what it is, yeah, the acting was good, but the scene was dumb. Um,
I liked the choice for Mel's character. Again, just so much of The Last of Us is about the lengths a parent would go for their child, and in her final moments, all she cares about and wants is her child saved, and doesn't get that. It's in both versions. It's a very brutal moment, killing a pregnant
It's
character like
more
that far
brutal in
along.
the game when Ellie actually means to kill her.
It,
Intent
I think
changes
both are
the
brutal.
scene.
Yeah, but she still kills her. It's still her fault. Like it's still, I think, just as brutal.
So then,
And then Tommy shows up just like the game.
yeah, and then they go back, and then we get what we thought was going to be the cliffhanger.
Well, and this
Uh,
whole scene is like very close to the game. The dialogue, we
except
gotta.
for one thing, Ellie says when Abby finds them, because this is another scene where characters won't shut the fuck up. She has that whole spiel about, oh, I didn't mean to kill them. You know, it's me you're after. What?
I I'd have to watch both versions again to compare. Doesn't she say in the game like I killed your friends, or is it just Abby that
No, so she
says it?
says, I killed your friend. I think she says, I killed your friends. I'm the one you
I'm the one you
want.
want.
I know what Joel, I'm the
I know what
reason
Jill
Joel
did.
did or whatever. I know what Joel did.
Yeah,
But remember in the show, Ellie just word vomits. I didn't mean to kill them. I'm the reason Joel did what he did, blah, blah, blah. Uh, no, you did mean to kill them. That's the entire fucking point of this season. Fuck
well,
you,
she
writers.
well, she meant to kill Abby. Abby's the only one she's wanted to kill this whole journey. Other people have gotten in her
Uh,
way.
so I'm going to direct back to the reveal trailer for this game. I'm gonna find every last one of them, and I'm gonna kill them.
That's fair. That's also a trailer. I don't consider that canon, but that's fair.
I had something else about that,
And
but
and
I'll
she
wait.
says multiple times in the game, I just want Abby. I when she considers sparing Owen or Mel or Nora in the game, I do believe her. Maybe you disagree, but if those scenes play out differently in the game, I do think Ellie spares some of them. As long as she kills Abby, she's good. That's how I've always read it. I don't think she's lying in some of those scenes when she's interrogating people. Um,
I
that
think
that's
I
my
think
read.
maybe she's telling the truth by the time you get to the hospital, which is day 2.
Mhm.
I think by day 3 they have established she is so far gone, she would have killed those two no matter what they did. The only reason that she feels any guilt about killing them is that Mel was pregnant.
Yeah, that's fair. That's just a
Because
different
the
read.
the way she talks in the game as well is it doesn't matter why they came. She remembers all of them and
Mhm.
she's going to hunt them down. Now, do I
I like
wish that maybe the game had been more direct about it? Sure. But I take major issue with Ellie just word vomiting. Well, I didn't mean to kill them. What the fuck did you think we were going to do when you got here?
yeah. Maybe I'd trim up the dialogue there a bit, but in the moment, it didn't bother me.
And I
I get
mean,
where
I,
you come
I
from.
can't hold you that. I can't hold you against that. That's in the moment. This is all in the moment.
Like it still plays very close to how it does in the
Very
game.
close.
Jesse gets shot in the head. Tommy's pinned down.
Wait, you
Um,
mean the character that keeps going on about how he can't die dies? I'm shocked.
but okay, but also you've played the game. You can't. Neither of us can know how we would have reacted to that if we didn't
But
play the
here's the
source
thing.
material.
We've watched enough TV that when you constantly have a character say, I can't die here, they are the first on the chopping block.
I mean, I think everyone in the game. I mean, just going back to my experience playing the game. I mean, I had no idea who was going to come out of that thing alive. So I don't know. I'm just saying, like, we knew it was coming. We can't pretend to know how
I will
we
give
would
you
have
that
reacted to
one.
that.
I will get back to you because I have friends that are watching this that don't know the game. So I will get
Mhm.
back to you on that. We'll put a pin on that. But I feel like I've seen enough TV to know.
Well, and even if you guess that he's gonna die, like it's still a shocking moment. It's just because
Yeah.
it's so abrupt and
We need
sudden.
we Robert, we need friends that can come on here that only watch the show and don't play the game.
Yeah,
uh okay, so I never thought I'd say this, but the episode should have ended right there.
I don't. Okay, two things. I don't personally love where we break. I didn't need it to end on a gunshot.
I don't
Which
like that
obviously happens
either.
in the game. I just don't like the choice. But the epilogue, when we cut back to Seattle Day One, uh, you didn't like that choice. I did. For the show,
Yeah,
I
because
thought
it
it made
doesn't add
sense, but
anything.
I think it does.
What does
It
it add?
helps. It helps ease you into, okay, this is where we're going next season. They had throughout the season the Seattle Day One, Day Three, then at the end we get Seattle Day One. It's communicated the audience that, okay, we've now rewound. We're at, like, this is now we're gonna see her. So I think it's just there to
Mm,
set up where we're going next season and not
okay,
just ending on a cliffhanger.
two problems with that. One, it's still kind of a cliffhanger.
Oh, it is a cliffhanger.
Sorry,
I'm just
no,
saying
three problems. Two, say next season comes out 2 years from now. This season, you are in the minority, I'm afraid, on this one. A lot of people aren't liking this. Are they going to go back and watch this before season three? Are they even going to remember that that's how
well,
that ended?
that's what they have recaps for.
Three,
Like that's going to be in the
I
recap.
guarantee you they will reestablish, because that's what all these shows do. They will reestablish that we are back in Seattle day one at the beginning of season three. Because this entire season has felt like the writers have no faith in the audience. They have to constantly spell things out, tell you the themes that are going on, or just have characters word vomit whatever emotions that they are feeling. So the
I mean,
first thing they're going to do in season three is establish we are back at day one.
maybe I don't know. It could also open with a different flashback. I don't know how next season is gonna open, but for the closing of this season, I thought it made sense to give you that little extra tease of where we're going. Uh, so I thought it was fine. As for the themes and stuff, I mean the game's very overt in its themes. Like it's not subtle
The
in
game
terms of
isn't
what it's
subtle,
about.
but the characters never stop to deliver exposition to tell you what the theme is.
There's some, and then if you're looking for it, there's a lot of stuff in the journal entries that you get that's very literally spelled out for you, that you might miss if you're not looking at those. So I don't
That's
know, but both versions
supplementary
handle
material.
exposition different ways.
The dialogue in the game is 100 times better than anything in this show.
The dialogue in the game is great, and I think the show has a lot of very good dialogue. Sometimes it's overwritten. It is one of my main issues with it, but there's also a lot of really good dialogue in the show that's not in the game.
Well, Robert, do you have any final thoughts about season two?
I liked it. I didn't like it as much as season one. I had some issues. This finale wasn't my favorite episode. Wasn't my least favorite episode. I thought it was pretty good. I'm looking forward to next season. I can tell you are not, and I'm sorry you didn't enjoy it as much as I did.
No, so funnily enough, I don't trust them, but I'm also looking forward to it because I like the actress that they got to play Abby. And
Yeah,
I
okay, I
know,
want to mention that. When we get to that final scene, it reminded me, oh my god, Caitlin Dever's so good in this role.
yeah.
Because we haven't seen her since episode two.
And here's the thing, I don't care as much about Game Abby. Uh, she's whatever. Ellie and Joel are my favorite characters in The Last of Us, and to see them constantly rewritten and dumbed down is frustrating.
Sorry you feel that way.
Thank you.
Uh, I like I said, I like both versions.
I mean, I like show Joel okay. Yeah, Jareth. I read somewhere that Zaslav is like chopped episode counts. Their big premium shows can only be 8 episodes or less. I also
Yeah,
think
that's
that
that's
might be the
been pretty
problem with this
consistent
season is
across the board.
you needed another episode.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I would have liked another episode in the middle for sure.
Or,
But yeah, I
or
have
if
noticed
you
that with
know if you know that you're only going to get 7 episodes, they did this last season too. It feels like they never plan ahead. You didn't have to fit all 3 days of Ellie Seattle in this season. Stretch it out. Do more stuff in Jackson. I don't care. You're already off the rails. The next season you can do the Seattle stuff and actually do it right. This was barely a revenge mission. It might as well just been a vacation.
that wasn't anything but a vacation.
That was admittedly that was me being
Yeah.
hyperbolic. But my point stands. It was also barely a revenge mission.
There's quite a bit of revenge mission here. And then, like I said, there's a lot of setup in this episode for the Abby stuff, which I think could be pretty cool. So looking forward
Yeah.
to it.
I'm
We'll see how long it
optimistic about
takes.
that
Could
because
be a
I'm less
couple years.
invested in that stuff. So I won't care as much if they fuck it up.
And hey, I'm sorry the show disappointed you, but you still have the games. You always
I
have the
do.
games.
I have the
I love the
superior
games.
version of the story.
Yeah, I prefer the games to the show, but I'm still really very satisfied with the show. I've had a really good time watching it.
Robert, should we move on
So,
to final scores for the season?
sure. Yeah, I guess so. The finale for me was like an 8 out of 10, and that's kind of where I'm at with the whole season. For me, it's a 8 out of 10. I really liked it. So I think it was perfect. No, so it has some issues. Yeah, some choices I would have made differently, but a lot of choices that I really liked. So I had a good time. It's not the best season of television I've seen this year. It's not the worst season of television I've seen this year. I had a good time.
Now I'm curious, what is the worst season of television you've seen this year?
That's good. I mean, I have to go back and check if there's something else, but for me personally, I do put this above Daredevil Born Again. That was a real mixed bag for
Oh
me.
yeah.
There was some stuff in there I liked okay, but overall disappointed.
It
Um,
figures you would find the one thing that I would actually put this over.
and neither of us hated Born Again. Like
No.
there's stuff in there I liked. So
The
yeah,
biggest
I
problem with
and
Born Again is it just wastes too much time. Kind of like a
yeah,
certain zombie show. Okay, so I'm gonna be contradictory because I just said that I like this more than Born Again, and I don't actually know like a numerical score I'd give Born Again because it's like I feel like Born Again has like 6 different scores. Like these episodes were this out of 10, these episodes were like this out of 10. I don't know what to do with the
yeah.
whole season.
It was a mixed bag for me.
This episode is like a 6. Yeah, the production values are good, the acting is good. But I don't recognize the characters as they're presented. I think they fundamentally misunderstand choices that characters make in the game and that shows in the adaptation. And as for the whole season, this was a wash. I gotta give it like a 5. You get an F. You failed this city, Neil Druckmann. Well, until next time, Robert, and we'll be back in 2 years to do season 3.
Yeah, for
Uh,
sure.
Hopefully Zaslav will be gone by then, and we can get back to.
Longer seasons. Yeah, because now that it's funny because I didn't know that, but it's like, oh yeah, a lot of recent HBO Warner Brothers shows have had shorter seasons. I didn't put this together that was all the thing, but yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, because how long was Penguin? That was what, 8 episodes?
Yeah,
But I'm sure that had to be
that
lower
sounds right.
budget because that's not a like A. You're probably reusing a lot of the stuff from the Batman, and B. It's not like it's super effects heavy. Like maybe the explosion that I don't know for sure, but
Yeah, for sure.
well, that has been our discussions of The Last of Us season 2. Um, Robert, we need to do another TV show commentary soon because we're almost done with The
We
Last of
do.
Us.
I'm glad you mentioned that. I don't know if it'll be next. I don't know if it'll be next week or a couple weeks, but finishing Ash versus Evil Dead season 2 is
Oh
what I'd
yeah,
like
we
to do
never did
next.
finish that, did we?
Yeah, and then that'll get us through the like summer, I don't or some of the summer 5 episodes. But yeah,
A
I think
month.
that we should
Yeah, we can do that.
do soon.
We'll let you know when we get that scheduled. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. Robert, despite our arguments, I do enjoy talking about this with you. Have a good
Thank you.
night,
I
everybody.
appreciate it.